Welcome everyone. My name is Lorena Carroll and I'm an Ayurveda wellness consultant, and it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. I'd like to first tell you a little bit about myself, and then we are going to delve into Ayurvedic principles and why it's something that you're going to want to really take an interest in as a way of healing yourself in a more holistic way. And how my journey began, my daughter was born and I was only 24 years old, so I was a very young mother. And I was living in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I took my daughter to an Ayurvedic physician, and he actually gave me herbs to help her with her cold rather than antibiotics. I had taken her to a regular physician and he gave antibiotics, and she kept spitting them up. So I was very worried as a young mother, what am I going to do? So I took her to this Ayurvedic expert. He's in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Dr. Ladd. And I walked out with a little packet of herbs. He said, mix this with honey, give this to your daughter, and see what happens in a few days. Well, her cold cleared up, and I was really lost as a young mother. What do I do? She won't take the medication. She's refusing them. So what can I do to really help my daughter to heal? And I started to, through Dr. Ladd's help, understand why it's important to have a more holistic approach to healthcare. And from that point on, I would visit with him. I took cooking classes with Dr. Ladd and his wife, and I learned all about how really your kitchen is your medicine chest, and what you put into the physiology is what's going to either create disease or prevent disease. And that's why, after being a mother for, my daughter's now 29 years old, and we rarely had to use medications, if at all. Our medicine chest was just really our kitchen with herbal preparations and particular diet. And that's what started this journey for me, that I was able to, for about 30 years, it's almost 30 years now that I've been practicing Ayurveda, that I have been able to heal my family through natural means. And the reason why this is important is now we have doctors writing books and telling us, be careful of just solely relying on modern medicine. Why is that? Because the research shows that people that do everything that their doctors tell them to and don't follow a good diet and lifestyle actually get sick more often and have more illnesses, rather than those that try to find more holistic measures. They are healthier because we know the perils of modern medicine in terms of medications, all the negative side effects. You turn on the TV and that's all they're talking about is the negative side effects of these medications. And so, yes, I always joke around. I speak to a lot of doctors and nurses, and I talk about Ayurvedic medicine to them, and I want to be respectful. I will be the first one, if I am dying and I need to, be put on medications or a respirator, I want you to hook me up to everything. I kind of joke with the physicians and say, I'm not knocking modern medicine. I want to be hooked up to everything if you need to save my life. But I hope that I will have less of those circumstances due to my healthy lifestyle. And this is what's really important, because if the medications continually have negative side effects, and often a lot of my clients will say, I've been to the doctor, maybe I have anxiety, and they have anxiety, they go to the doctor, and the doctor will give the medication. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But often people will say, well, I felt a little bit dull with the medication, or I wasn't as mentally alert. And we know that this happens time and time again, the negative side effects of these medications. There are a few wonderful books that I suggest you read, and it will not give you so much information on Ayurveda, but it will give you an insight into what modern doctors are talking about in terms of having more of a holistic approach to healthcare. And one of them is the High Blood Sugar Solution by Dr. Hyman. He talks about how it's very important to maintain good health also through diet. I don't recommend everything because there are some things that I don't agree upon in terms of Ayurveda, and I'm going to clarify and define that for you over the coming, weeks and months, and because we will be together for a full year, going over these principles. But what he talks about, and I think it's really interesting to hear a medical doctor, highly trained, very well respected, talk about the perils of modern medicine, and that if we just rely on them to be our physician and not, we have to take care of ourselves. That's what it really boils down to. And particularly with Dr. Hyman, he was talking about blood sugar levels, not only just from people eating sugar, but carbs or sugar. And sometimes the doctors, they're unable to test for pre-diabetes, or if you have a high blood sugar, and if you know it earlier, then you won't become diabetic, but often the testing has to be done later. So he goes into this whole thing about really reducing sugar dramatically in the form of carbs, and he gives a lot of nice suggestions, but Ayurveda has just a different angle, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. Another wonderful book is called The Prime by Dr. Kulreet Chaudhry. She is a neurologist. She's connected with Scripps Clinic in La Jolla, California. Now she's a very well-known researcher. She's starting research. And she had a very interesting experience. She is Indian in her heritage, and the Ayurveda is from India, and I'm going to talk about that in a little while. But she is Indian from her heritage, and she kind of went full in with modern medicine and did not know anything about Ayurvedic medicine. And she was giving her patients medications for their migraines and treating different disorders with medications as a neurologist, and thinking nothing of it until she started to have headaches on her own. She started to take the medications and she felt absolutely horrible. They made her gain weight, they made her sluggish. And so what she did was, her mother, who's obviously Indian, said, why don't you go see an Ayurvedic wellness consultant? And it was an Indian man. And consult with him, and I think you may need to have more holistic approach. So that's what she did, and she started on this whole journey of Ayurveda, just like I did. But it's interesting, as a medical doctor, she started much later, whereas I was able to do that at an earlier age. And but anyway, now she's following Ayurvedic diet, and she's going to talk. I'm going to actually educate you in this next year on all of the Ayurvedic principles, many of which she talks about in her book. But I just find it so interesting and exciting in the world of holistic medicine that now we can actually say doctors agree with many of these holistic practitioners, and certainly Kulreet Chaudhry is one of them. So what I'd like to do is now give you a review of what is Ayurveda, and to define what is Maharishi Ayurveda, because I am using herbal preparations and knowledge based on my degree. I have a bachelor's degree in Ayurvedic medicine and a master's degree in Vedic science. I achieved that at the Maharishi University of Management in Fairfield, Iowa. And this was after I had raised my daughter for so many years. I had worked in one of the top Ayurveda clinics in the world, actually. That was in Schlederhaus in Germany. And then I went back and worked at the Raj Health Spa in Fairfield, Iowa, which is one of the top 10 health spas in the country. They do these very wonderful, luxurious, and highly effective detoxification treatments. And when I saw how it was healing people, so not only my personal experience with Ayurvedic medicine, with raising my family, but then when I saw other people coming to these clinics with very, very severe health issues. Some of them had MS or fibromyalgia, they could barely walk, and then they would go through treatments. And the reason why this works is, in everyday life, we do purify out toxins. If you sweat in the summertime, if you go for a steam, if you exercise, you'll sweat. So there are natural ways that we eliminate toxins, because toxins, we know, are the cause of disease. So we eliminate these toxins very easily. However, those are water-soluble toxins that are very easy to eliminate through sweat and steam like that. But in Ayurveda, what's more important to us in terms of preventing disease is what's called fat-soluble toxins. And it doesn't matter, it has nothing to do with being overweight, even slender people can get them. fat-soluble toxins, they get embedded in the fatty tissue and they remain there. They cause free radical damage. They cause inflammation. And this is what is the root cause. Now, I'll backtrack to say that the root cause of all disease is stress. And we know that 80% of all disease is stress-related. So if we're going to get at the root cause of disease, we have to get it from the angle of stress. There are foods that we eat that can make us more stressed because it impacts our physiology in a negative way, or there are foods that we can eat that can make us less stressed. And of course, we're going to talk about meditation and yoga and diet and exercise and many lifestyle changes. But if we don't really do many things that are holistic in nature, that go along with the body enlivening its own inner intelligence rather than relying on medications and allowing the body to heal itself, then we're going to build up these fat-soluble toxins. And you've probably heard about inflammation. And inflammation, runs rampant in the body. And then you have some form of disease. And we're going to go through those different diseases. But it's very important in terms of Ayurveda that we eliminate these toxins. For example, if you go to the Raj Health Spa, you can eliminate 50% of all the environmental toxins that you accumulate in a lifetime in just one 5-day treatment. And these are things like DDTs, PCBs, herbicides, pesticides. We live in a world that everywhere there's toxicity. In the air we breathe, in the food we eat. We're going to talk about genetically modified foods, how it's very important to avoid them, and also to eat foods that are organically prepared. And we'll go into that, in very much detail. But just in the context of Ayurveda, it's very important that there are multimodality approaches. It's not just one thing. So food will be one area we're going to look at. And then, as I mentioned, diet. And what kind of foods for our own body type, and then meditation and yoga and exercise. And in Ayurveda, for example, yoga could be nectar for one person, but poison for another. That's because there are different bodily humors. There are these doshas, and these doshas make up water, air, space, fire, water, and earth, which means that all of us contain the 5 elements: air, space, fire, water, and earth. How we can think of a funny example is if you eat a lot of hot and spicy foods, especially in climates and in areas, maybe New Mexico where I live, chili is just running rampant. Well, why did the Spanish tend to possibly be, or the Mexicans be a little bit more passionate, a little bit more vivacious? Is there something to the fire element, heating up the fire within, which is affecting them emotionally to be more passionate, to possibly be more impatient, or some of the negative things that can happen when you have too much fire. But this in Ayurveda is called the Pitta dosha, when fire is really strong, and sometimes what we need to do is to balance that fire with certain foods. So let's go through the 3 body types, the main 3 body types. Now, you can be a combination of, all 3. And as I go over and sort of review the Vata, Pitta, Kapha body types, you might think, oh, I'm a little bit of all 3, or I'm predominant. I will send you a PDF, and it will have more principles on Ayurveda, and it will also have a questionnaire that you can fill out. And then by the end of that, you answer these questions, and then you'll know which body type you are approximately. But we're going to help you along with that, because there could also be that in certain seasons, you have certain imbalances that you don't in other seasons. So it's also a seasonal thing. This is what we'll go through. So in terms of the doshas, the Vata, V-A-T-A, and this will be in your PDF as well, so you'll be able to go over it. Vata dosha is the leading dosha in Ayurveda. It is responsible for bringing imbalance to all of the other doshas. Now, Vata types in nature, they're lighter in build. They're those types that can eat a lot and they don't gain weight, and everybody sort of hates them for it. But, they can have some negative aspects to that. They're dry in nature. So they can tend in a negative way. They could have constipation, dry skin, and very frail joints. They get a lot of arthritic conditions, and they can also get tension headaches. So there's a lot of things that could be negative to that dosha. But when they're balanced, they sleep well, they're very creative, they're very enthusiastic about life. So it's important to maintain that Vata dosha so you can have all the positive qualities. Because in Ayurveda, it treats the whole person, mind, body, and spirit. And we hear that sort of like, oh, as a cliche, oh, you know, feeling well emotionally. But it really is important that we take into account not only the physical body, but how are we doing emotionally? And that's what I loved about Ayurveda, because if somebody is really impatient or just worrying all the time, they could just maybe be eating the wrong foods that would actually increase that negative emotion. So with Vata, their negative emotion is fear and worry. Those worry warts, they have an imbalance of Vata. Now, it doesn't mean that they have to be slender. They could be overweight, and they've created some other imbalances, you know, throughout their life that made them gain weight, even though Vata is typically slender. But anybody who's worrying and has fear and anxiety and maybe can't sleep at night because of that, that is due to the Vata dosha. And I will help you to bring that more into balance in the coming sessions. But I just wanted to give you an overview of the Vata dosha. Now let's move on to the Pitta dosha. I already alluded to the fact that Pitta dosha does have more fire in the system, whereas the Vata dosha has more air and space. They get more, Vata dosha gets more irregular type of digestion. And so they have, like I said, the constipation and the gas and the bloating. Pitta dosha tends to have more acidity and more of the acid reflux that people can get, and they get in later life. So with the Pitta dosha, they tend to be people of medium build and, you know, medium sort of muscle tone, and they're very good speakers. They can be very enthusiastic, very dynamic. They're usually your type A's that want to get everything done yesterday, but they really can stress themselves out if they don't have a lot of balance. There are a lot of your CEOs and top leaders have a lot of the Pitta element, which you need because they're very quick to get things done and they have a lot of intense focus. A lot of your top athletes also can be Pitta. You have to have that Pitta dosha to be very, very focused and highly successful. However, when Pittas go out of balance, their negative emotions could be anger. And that means they would just lash out at people over nothing. They're impatient. You need to carry a little bar for them all the time. You have to carry like a nut bar or something. If they skip a meal, they just get very, very irritated. Whereas the Vata dosha, if they skip a meal, it's not a big deal. But if the Pitta dosha skips a meal, they get very, very irritated. So that's just sort of, you know, a little bit of an overview of the Vata and the Pitta. And now let's talk about the Kapha dosha. Now, Kapha dosha is very interesting because you would think that they're basically larger build people. They have larger build naturally, and they do have a harder time losing weight. However, some of the Vata dosha, like I mentioned, you can have been Vata dosha, but you can accumulate a lot of weight due to stress, and then you might overeat due to that stress. And so some Vata types do tend to actually have more Kapha qualities, and Kapha has also very good qualities, which we're going to talk about. But when the Kapha is out of balance, they do tend to put on weight easily, and they have the tendency more towards depression. They can be very, very happy when they're balanced. Very, very charming, happy, calm, balanced people. Everybody loves to be around Kapha people. They're usually like your grandmother types and just always, you know, cozy and warm and uplifting. But when they get out of balance, they can have this depression. They get attached to things. They're your hoarders. They attach to things and they can't let go. So there's many, you know, other negatives, but the positives of Kapha are really wonderful. They're your real strong athletes as well, especially your long distance runners and any type of sports that take a lot of physical endurance and strength. That's your Kapha dosha. So it's a wonderful dosha to have, and everybody wants to have as much of it as you can in balance, because that means you're going to have strong bones. You're going to be well lubricated. You won't have oiliness or too much oiliness. You'll have just enough, but you won't be dry like the Vata dosha. And so in Ayurveda, we have something called ojas, O-J-A-S, and it's a Sanskrit word. And ojas is when you have so much balance that the body is, producing this chemical that is very much balancing to the whole nervous system. The opposite of ojas would be ama, A-M-A, and those are your toxins. So the more we eliminate the toxins, the more we accumulate this ojas. When you have more ojas, you have a glow about you. The digestion is working properly, because in terms of these three doshas, why are we going to be discussing them? Why is it important to know about them? And the reason is that digestion is the root cause of all disease. So if we balance these three doshas, then you're going to have better digestion. And this is what we'll be working towards, because the Vata dosha has that gas and bloating. And that will lead to a lot of issues with constipation and IBS. Vata dosha has more problems in the lower region, the colon. The Pitta dosha, as I mentioned before, it's more the stomach and the esophagus, acidity and acid reflux. Kapha dosha gets cold. That's why in the winter, a lot of people have that kapha imbalance of cold or flu, sinus conditions, allergies. All of those things has to do with the head. There are many, many types of headaches, but you can get sinus headaches, which is kapha related. Tension headaches can be vata related. You could have 10 people that have a headache, and it could all be for a different reason. That's why it takes you to do trial and error with some different remedies in terms of Ayurveda, food being the main one. And when you do this, over time, you start to see, oh, I took this herb and that was very helpful, or I eliminated yogurt, because like I said, yogurt may not be good for everybody. It depends upon how you eat the yogurt, what time of day. And so you need to know, what is my plan for my individual physiology for good health? It may be different from somebody else's. And we're going to be primarily focusing on digestion. How can we get the digestion working properly? You don't want it to be too fast. You don't want it to be too slow. You want it to be just right. Just enough digestion to get the food, because if not, when you eat something, it is going to take about 24 hours before that can be actually it takes even a couple of weeks before it's really transformed into the cells. But if you don't have proper digestion, the nutrients from the foods that you're eating will not reach the cells. That's why people get disease, and people might say, well, I'm eating really well, but maybe due to stress and not eating the right foods at the proper time, properly spiced, is not allowing the body to absorb the nutrients. So you'll go to the doctor and you'll say, I'm eating all these vegetables, I'm eating these fruits, but your metabolic paneling will show, oh, you're deficient in calcium, or you're deficient in maybe B12. But you eat enough meat and dairy to satisfy that. And so these will be some indications that you're not assimilating the nutrients from the food. Which brings up another point. I really do recommend that you go to the doctor. If you don't go, you should get a physical every year. It's very, very important. This is really what's wonderful about modern medicine, is that they can do the blood test and find out where we are in terms of our nutrients. That is key. And I'll tell you why. Because many people are walking around nutrient deficient, vitamin deficient, and they don't know it. And if they were just to take some of these supplements, which I'm going to help you. So I recommend, as part of this class, this webinar that you're doing with me for the next year, that you go to the doctor. They know what a metabolic paneling is. Most of you have done it. You can test cholesterol, thyroid, blood sugar, calcium, D3, B12, And the doctor will know what other nutrients. You may want to have a heavy metal testing done. You have to specifically pay extra and request that. They won't automatically do it, but if you have mercury fillings, or if you feel like you've been exposed to lead or other metals, you might want to do that, because that could cause some problems in the nervous system. So we want to make sure that it's all kind of very clear to us, because the more clear that you are with what your physiology is telling you in many respects, the three doshas, the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and also the metabolic paneling, the better it is that I can help you. Because what I want to do is to open up a dialogue with you. I want to know over the coming weeks and months, as we do this detox, I want to know, what are your health issues? Because if you send me an email that you want to specifically address something, I'm going to cover almost everything anyway. That's just how the whole process is going to work. But if there's specific health issues that maybe I have not covered or not addressed, you can even let me know early on and send me an email. You will, like I said, be getting a PDF. You're going to be getting an Ayurveda booklet, recipes, and you can get the transcript of every week of these wellness classes. You can get the transcript as well. But I want to know how you're doing. I want to be there for you, how you're progressing. And this will allow me not only to help you, but to help other people that might not have even known that they had a specific issue, because sometimes they have so many ailments, they don't know really where to begin, and they forget a little bit what they have. So this is how we're going to proceed. It will be a wonderful journey, and very interesting for you. We're going to cover topics such as meditation. Some of you already practice transcendental meditation. If you don't, I do highly recommend it. If you live in the Chicago area, well, of course, I can be your teacher. If you're in another area of the part of the country, then you can just go to www.tm.org and find a local teacher, because transcendental meditation is really it's such a wonderful technique to reduce stress, because it actually reduces the major stress hormone cortisol. And we know that cortisol reduces, when cortisol is reduced, serotonin, the mood elevator, is increased. And this can just do wonders for your health. The American Heart Association came out with a statement saying that transcendental meditation is the only non-pharmaceutical approach that they will endorse for lowering blood pressure. And there's no other form of meditation that is doing that. And we know with anxiety, it's the only form of meditation that dramatically reduces anxiety. We have 700 scientific research studies. And I give 1 hour introductory presentations 3 times a week. You can connect by phone or in person and follow along with the PowerPoint. So if you'd like to do that, even if you're out of the country or out of the state, you can absolutely connect. And then you can learn locally with your teacher. This is the #1 recommendation that I will tell people to do. When people come to me and I do a consultation with them, I say, if you're not and those of you that are on this, involved in this webinar, that are already doing transcendental meditation, please practice it twice a day. If you do this twice a day, you will be over the moon with the benefits. It is unbelievable. You can go on the tm.org website and you hear top business people, top actors and movie stars, and just many, many doctors. Loyola Stritch Medical College here in Maywood, Illinois, they're doing a program for the nurses and doctors, and just a wonderful program to help them with nurse and doctor burnout. So I can just go on, but I do, because I'm going to actually be writing a book, and in this book, I'm going to be talking about a lot of the things that we're going to be doing over the next year. And transcendental meditation, I cannot say enough about it. February is Cardiac Awareness Month, and we know that TM reduces one's chance of heart disease by about 65%. Just doing that, and you're just sitting up comfortably 20 minutes in a chair just meditating. But it's a special technique, and so I would definitely look into it. And if you have not had your meditation practice refreshed, I would highly recommend that. And then the next thing that I would recommend for good health is sleep. If you don't sleep well, then transcendental meditation will help you. It is excellent for insomnia. But these are the two things that I'm going to be asking you to work on. And the sleep would be very, very important. It's imperative that you sleep 7 to 8 hours a night. If you're sleeping 4, 5, 6 hours, even if you feel you're getting by, it's just not good enough. Research points us to the fact that people that don't sleep at least 7 hours when they later in life, if not even earlier, they have very poor health. And what I try to convey to people is that I really want you to have fun with this. I'm going to try to make it fun. I have many different meal plans for different ethnic types of food. And so I want to make it fun. I know my mom always said, oh, Ayurveda is too restrictive. I hope that this will prove to her that it's not, by giving you some other things that you love to eat, but just in a healthier way. I was telling everybody for the Super Bowl, I was telling them, well, go out and get healthy chips, healthy corn chips, healthy, all organic, non-GMO, get some healthy potato chips or whatever chips you like. Just make sure they're organic and non-GMO. And don't eat them every day. Just have them once a week. So you'd have a nice guacamole dip, you have a nice avocado dip, you're getting some protein, you're getting some wonderful oils with the avocado. So this is not going to be all doom and gloom. And I also want to mention that we're not going to be eating raw foods. When we talk about sleep, a lot of people's sleep issues is not only worry and anxiety, is that they're eating the wrong foods. So we're going to be talking about sleep. But what I suggest now, just to give you some tips, because I want to give you something to work on, we're going to be every week, I'm going to be giving you a few more tips. You can't do everything at once. I've probably already overwhelmed you, which I hope I don't do. Fortunately, next week is only a half-hour session, so I give you a break. The first week of the first hour, or the first week of every month, it's going to be a 1-hour wellness session. Then the other 3 weeks of that month, or if there's 4 weeks in that month, it will be only a 30-minute session as a follow-up, because it has to be incremental. There's so much information that I would just you'd give up. But I want to emphasize that this is doable. I've been doing this for 30 years. We're going to ease into it. And I will be able to, like I said, guide you every step of the way. So learn transcendental meditation and start to go to bed by 10 o'clock. I'll even say 11 o'clock, because I know some of you either work late, and if you do have a job where you work late, some of you I've already know, and I've trained you in Ayurveda, and I've trained you in TM, so I know that you do work late, and that's okay. But for those of you that work a normal job and you can get to bed by 10 o'clock, wonderful. And at the very, very latest, 10:45, be in bed, because there is also, like I said, research that people that sleep at night, one lady said to me, well, why can't I just, if I go to bed at 4:30 in the morning and I sleep till noon, I'm still getting over 8 hours of sleep, but it's not good quality sleep. And the reason why is that between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., or actually between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., the body is actually going through a huge transformation. And it is working on all the food and everything you ate. It is actually metabolizing all of your experiences you had during the day, all of the food that you've eaten. And depending upon if you go to bed earlier, you're going to digest your food and experiences better. And I say experiences, which opens up a whole nother topic, which we'll get into. But yes, if you've had a stressful day with your boss, or somebody was sort of a little bit mean to you or hurt your feelings, then you have to take that also. If you meditate, that helps your resiliency to those stressors. So that's why I recommend that. But if you go to bed earlier, the chances of having better digestion is going to be greater. And that's why I highly recommend. And if you're going to bed very late, Rome wasn't built in a day. If you're going to bed at 1 or 2 in the morning, don't try to backtrack too quickly, you won't do it. You'll set yourself up for failure. Just maybe 15 minutes earlier, each night for a week. So if you go to bed at 1 o'clock, try 12:45 for a week. Try 12:30. And then when you get up earlier, you can do the things that you normally would do at night. So this is what we're going to be, talking about and working with you on to try to get you to have a healthier lifestyle. And in terms of food, I'd like to start by giving you some tips for the week and talk about a detox diet. Now, those of you that want to lose weight quickly, because this is sort of a New Year's thing, and some of you may be very eager to do that, then you would want to start the detox as soon as possible. However, I do think you can ease into that as well. That is my recommendation. I think that you will lose the weight that you want, but I think more importantly, if you start to add things to your current diet without stressing you out, then I think that's going to be more beneficial. One thing that's really important is getting out all of the foods out of the house that are not good for you. And what could those foods be? And I know you're not going to like this, so just stay with me on this and don't worry if it's too much all at once. But what I would recommend is eating up all the junk and no processed food. This is another thing very important in Ayurveda. Now, when I say no processed food, I don't mean that you can't have anything out of a bag or a box. It just has to be minimally processed and not that old. So, for example, if you have a sweet tooth and you're saying to me, I am completely addicted to sugar, I will not get off sugar. There's no way I can, right now at least, until you wean off. These are organic, non-GMO, absolutely delicious cookies. And now they do have sugar. I can't eat them right now at the phase I'm in. It's too sweet for me. I'm pretty much off sugar. And so, but these are chocolate chip oatmeal cookies. And then they have chocolate chip. This is just a regular chocolate chip. And you can get them at Whole Foods. So you can write down the name. It's called Ginny Bakes, Ginni Bakes Organics. So you've got those. And this one is very nice. It's chocolate chip macadamia love. So what I want you to do is, if you really are addicted to sugar, start to switch to healthier forms of sugar. Don't buy junk. And then these are wonderful. These are a little hard to digest, actually, because they're a little bit more raw. Ayurveda doesn't do a lot of raw food. But, if you have a fairly good digestion, if you eat one or two, but I like them because they have almond flour, and that's very, very good to eat. Now, if it's salty you like, these are wonderful. Pumpkin seeds. They really won't put weight on you. They're very filling. You could do pumpkin seeds. You could do sunflower seeds, sesame seeds. These are organic. You want to get roasted, and we're going to talk about soaked nuts. So you want to either roast the nuts or you want to soak them. Because if you don't, they're not going to, you've probably already heard about soaked nuts because it's all the craze. These are almonds. This is your go-to friend for energy, protein, nutrients. Almond milk is the best. Now, you can actually make your own almond milk because the store-bought has the skin. So in Ayurveda, see here you have the almond, and then you would just throw that in the blender. So the skin is you can feel it. The skin is very thick. So my husband and I, we always have a jar of these in the house, and then we have a couple for breakfast, maybe some for lunch, and then I'll make almond milk and I'll drink it. So these are your snacks. And then for ladies and for men, obviously, there are Brazil nuts. I don't know if you can see them. I'll have to put them up. You've seen these in a lot of the mixed nuts, but you can get them and you can roast them. I like them roasted, or you could soak them and eat them however you like them. You could try hazelnuts, but the main nuts that are the most nutritious for you are almonds and walnuts and cashews and pecans. Now, cashews are rather heavy, so if you're looking to lose weight, You may not want to have cashews, but if you're looking to put on weight, then cashews are very good, and you can do like a cashew butter. You can't do an almond butter because most of the almond butter is with the skin. You can sometimes, rarely, you know, it's rare, but you can sometimes find almond butter without the skin. If not, you can make your own. Just, I would blend it with a little oil. Get almond oil and put it in the blender, and you might find a way to just make your own almond butter. You just probably have to maybe eat it more quickly, because I think it's possible that it could go bad. So if you're hungry and you like salty, then go for healthy, natural things. And I'd like you to add a leafy green vegetable to your diet. And I would do that every day. And even if you're going out to eat, you can just order and go to restaurants where they don't have frozen food. Italian restaurants are excellent, sometimes Greek restaurants. Mexican restaurants, you can find it. They will often have zucchini. They do a lot of zucchini dishes at Mexican. But anywhere you go, just call the restaurant beforehand. I know it's a lot of work, but we are going to work together towards, I am actually off of processed food. The only thing that I put in my freezer are dirty dishes, and everybody laughs at that. But I don't use my freezer to freeze food. People think, oh, it's organic berries or no. The more that is processed. Now, on occasion, of course, you can have the frozen food, but we don't want to have anything out of a can. We don't want to have anything frozen. We're going to be moving. This is the most processed you're going to get, is these types of things. There's also a wonderful bar. I don't think I have it around here, but Amy's makes delicious bars that are, like I said, they're candy bars with organic cane sugar. You can have those. There's also another bar that they have over at Whole Foods, and it's actually for diabetics. It's only made with chocolate and coconut nectar, all organic, all non-GMO. If you like to nibble, then nibble, and if you like chocolate, these have absolutely no sugar. It's just right from the cocoa bean. But what I like is you have to watch your teeth. You may want to put a little water in your mouth and soften them a bit, because you don't want to break your teeth. But cocoa nibs. Cocoa has so much magnesium and zinc and iron and wonderful nutrients. It's no wonder we crave it all the time. And now we know that chocolate is the most powerful antioxidant. So feel free to eat it in moderation, but it's merely the sugar and the fat and the lecithin, or maybe it's genetically modified. It's all those things which we're going to be talking about. But this is really wonderful. Now, in terms of sugar, I do recommend this sugar, organic coconut sugar. It's actually, even diabetics could eat this because it has the lowest glycemic index of any sweetener. That's even compared to honey, agave, cane sugar, sucanat, anything. This is your sugar. But again, if you don't like sugar, you don't want to overdo it even with this. I mean, everybody can overdo it. But if you are diabetic or you're pre-diabetic, but you really like sweet, you can use stevia. Don't use any other artificial sweeteners because they're just really not good for you. But at least you can have this so that you could not feel like you're being deprived, and you could slowly wean off the sugar in a very, very slow way. So let's go through some basic health plans of what you can eat, and then we're going to be expanding on that over the coming weeks. So for breakfast, what would be a good breakfast? Now, if you wake up and you're actually not hungry, that could mean that you ate too much at night. So be careful. You should have some level of hunger in the morning. It doesn't have to be a lot, but if you don't have hunger in the morning, that is a sign that you might be eating too much at night, too late. What we recommend in Ayurveda is not to eat your evening meal past 6 p.m. However, you could have warm cow's milk boiled, you could have almond milk, which brings up another point about milk. Many people are lactose intolerant, mainly because of the way the milk is processed. I had somebody that was lactose intolerant. I gave her the milk that I drink. I gave her cheese, fresh cheese that I made at home, which we're going to make in a few weeks. Had no problem. She had no reaction. When she normally has hard cheese or has highly processed milk, she has a negative reaction. So this is the phenomenon of Ayurveda and knowing what to eat, how to prepare it. So you could take somebody who's lactose intolerant and give them these things, and they will have a less negative reaction. So what you want to do in the morning is have, you want to eat, of course, but if you're not hungry and you have weak digestion, low digestive fire, then you could skip if you don't get irritable. But you want to be careful of those around you. You're not irritable because you didn't eat. So what you could do is do like a stewed fruit. The whole idea in Ayurveda is that your main meal is at noon, because that's when the digestive power is the strongest. Most people sort of graze and grab things throughout the day. Then they go out to eat to some big meal, or they'll eat at home because they can finally sit and relax. They're eating too late at night and they're eating too much. So we have to switch things around. And when you do, I want to just mention before I complete this diet plan for you, that everyone that has followed this diet plan has been so happy. They cannot believe within a few days how good they feel. Ayurveda does not promote raw foods. I had a lady come in and for a consultation, and she had a big smoothie. And it was all, kale and just beets and, and it was huge. I mean, it was like this big. And I said, oh, so, and she thinks she's being healthy. So she's coming in and she's drinking it. And many people do. She's not the only one. I have many people that do this. And she drinks it throughout the day. I said, well, don't you have gas and bloating? And she said, yes. What Ayurveda doesn't do is stop and start the digestion. And this is what everyone's biggest crime is: grazing, eating something, 10 minutes later grabbing something else, 10 minutes later grabbing something else. And this is going to be the biggest challenge for me with all of you, is to really get you to buy into this and to try it, because at some point you'll have to. I know some people, many of my clients have inflammation, they have achy joints, maybe they have fibromyalgia, or they have something, or they have Hashimoto's disease. A lot of immune disorders are just due to weak digestion. And once we get them on this diet, they love it. Their body is craving it, and they're so, so happy. So in the morning, let's see what you could eat. And let's go through some meal options, and we'll elaborate on them in the coming weeks. For breakfast, you can have your stewed fruit if you're really not hungry, or if you're trying to lose weight. Have stewed fruit. I'm going to send you the recipe, but basically you just cut up apples or pears, throw them in a pan. You could add a little water. You could even add a little ghee or clarified butter, a little bit of fresh ginger, saute them, maybe some cinnamon, some ginger powder or fresh ginger, whatever it is to your liking. Pumpkin spice, cardamom. We'll go through different suggestions for you, and you have to just see what you like, how you like it. So that could be something light with some warm herbal tea. You wouldn't want to have milk with stewed fruit. However, you could have your almond milk and some nice tea. Or if you have your coffee, that's okay. I don't want you to not have your coffee. We'll talk about caffeine as we go along. So that could be one breakfast. Then you could have oatmeal. Oatmeal's a little bit heavy. What would be preferred would be maybe cream of rice or cream of amaranth. I do recommend gluten-free, and we'll go into those details about why next week. But for now, you could have cream of rice if you want to have cream of wheat if you're not gluten intolerant. And amaranth is a grain, and it's very healthy and very high in protein, and it's not a real carb. So I think you'll really enjoy that. You can get just amaranth flour and follow some instructions, boil it with water, reduce the temperature, usually about 20 minutes. You could either cook it whole, you could have quinoa, make quinoa whole, or use quinoa powder. So just now, some people are like, oh, I don't want carbs in the morning. I'm talking about maybe 4 tablespoons. My husband is more slender, and he has a larger bowl, and he can handle it. He has strong digestive power. But I can't. I don't have a strong digestion. So I'll just have maybe, 4 tablespoons. And then what I add to that are my almonds. Maybe I'll have a few of the Brazil nuts, walnuts. Walnuts look like a brain, and they're good for the brain. A lot of omegas in the walnuts. So I have some soaked walnuts, a few pecans, and I eat to my, capacity. I don't overeat. I'll just eat, and then because I know that I'm going to eat at noon. So you have to eat breakfast, and I would like you to be famished at noon. And I hope that most of you can take time. If you can't take time, we're going to work on that next week. But those of you that can take even 20 minutes to eat at around noon, between noon and 1 o'clock, this would be the best thing. Between noon and 1 o'clock, you can eat and take 20 minutes. You can actually, these are mung beans. This is what you're going to be eating, for your detox. I don't know if you can see them. These are split mung beans. They don't sell them organic at Whole Foods, but you can actually get them from me if you'd like. I do send out shipments to people because I don't know why you can get them at Whole Foods, but they're not organic, or they're the whole mung beans, which are very green and thick, and the skin is thick. This is very light to digest. So you could make a hot thermos flask lunch where you'll start the cooking a little bit at home, then you throw it in a thermos and it'll cook over a couple of hours while you're at work. And then you could have rice or quinoa and then a vegetable, broccoli. And I'll show you how to do that where if you soak this overnight, it only takes about 20 or 30 minutes to cook. Since broccoli might only take 10 minutes or 15 minutes, then 15 minutes later you throw this in. And I do this in the morning before I go out, and I'll just sort of, go shower, put the beans on, go shower, come back, throw the broccoli in. You can actually, over the weekend, you could chop things up. So during the week, you have things available for you. And then, so you're going to have a grain. Now, what are the proportions? You want basically 50% vegetables, big thing of vegetables. Then you want to have maybe 20 to 30% protein, nuts, seeds, mung beans, and then a little bit of your starch, quinoa, rice. And we're going to talk more in detail. Like I said, we're going to be doing some cooking. But that's sort of how that morning, the breakfast and the lunchtime goes. You're just going to have, if you don't have much time, you could also have a date shake, an almond date shake. For breakfast, there will be other options. If you do like salty, then you can just have maybe some salty cashews, maybe an avocado. There can be other options, but we're going to, during the detox and in the winter months, we definitely dramatically reduce raw food. Raw food produces gas and bloating, and so we have to be very careful that we don't eat too much raw food in the winter. In the summertime, you can get away with a little bit more. So in terms of lunch, this is another aspect of Ayurveda, is all the 6 tastes: salty, sweet, sour, pungent, bitter, and astringent. Most of the time, you're getting them anyway. But if you're having a grain and you're having vegetables and you're having protein, some legume, maybe red lentils, brown lentils, chickpeas, maybe you're having chicken or fish, you're going to be getting all these tastes. And of course, lemon, it's very nice to spread lemon, sprinkle lemon on your food because it actually really gives it a good flavor and it enhances the digestive quality. So we're going to talk about the 6 tastes, but for now, because we're going to be closing, I'm going to be ending this session fairly soon. I want to just close out by saying that you should just start by adding a leafy green, and we will go into more details about the diet. You can review the PDF that I send you, but you can start by adding a leafy green, and you can have, it's very easy. You can get, these are organic green beans. They're not even very dirty. Sometimes you can get them pre-washed. And then you have, if you go to even Julasco here in Chicago, and I know in Whole Foods or any of your, anywhere in the country. So this is already cut up squash. This is wonderful too. You could have a green vegetable, and then here's some spinach. It's already washed. You throw it in the pan. It takes 2 minutes. Kale. I don't like kale very much, except for baby kale. At Jewel Osco and Whole Foods, they have these big bins. And Jewel Osco actually has them cheaper. It's like $5. You can go to Costco and get them. Big, big bins. And it's baby kale. It's very tender. Add a little bit of garlic or just some curry. We're going to talk about spicing the food with curry so it's more digestible and suited to your digestion. But it's absolutely delicious. You take these mung beans and you add some of this squash, and then maybe you can add some spinach. You can make a big one-pot thing, or if you just like it, more separate, where you have your grain and your vegetable and your bean or legume, that's fine as well. And then you can have the same thing for dinner. You just have a smaller portion. And then you have your snacks. I told you about all your goodies. You could have your seeds and nuts and maybe almond milk or dates or healthy cookies if you really have a sweet tooth craving, or go for your organic corn chips if you really need to have something. But when we do the detox, it's going to be primarily stewed fruits, mung beans or red lentils, quinoa, rice, switching off with different grains, but small amounts of grains. And we're going to talk about making a healthy bread, and I have a wonderful mung bean pancake I'm going to show you. But we're going to make our own bread because it's very important to have bread without yeast. And I think you can get decent breads at Whole Foods and some of these other healthy food stores, but I think you're going to be much happier and you're going to be amazed at how simple it is. We're going to make the bread together. So this is an overview. It's been a wonderful hour with you. I've enjoyed this so much. Ayurveda is my passion. I love it. I love cooking. I love sharing these tips with people because it has proven to work in my life just to make me happier and healthier and create balance. And I know that whatever health issue that you might have, whether it's minor or major, that we are going to really create more balance for you as well over the coming weeks and coming months. So I look forward to seeing you. It's going to be next week at 8 p.m. Central Time. And have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining.